I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
You always just have to run like defenders. I think like.
People deluded. I'm back again. I had to get a gal here. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. What you saying, my dude?
Alaikum assalam. I'm doing well, man. How you doing, DJ?
Come on, man.
And yeah, man. I can't wait to get into this conversation because I know you have a lot of people on who think the exact opposite of me. So maybe there might be some people who agree with me, some people who don't, but it's going to be interesting.
Like you said, it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to lie, bro. The first thing I need to ask you, I've been seeing the clips and all of this about, not winning the league could be a blessing in disguise. I saw, No-Size video as well, where he kind of clipped up what you said previously. And I can't lie, it does seem like your thoughts have changed, man. But yeah, what's all that about, man?
First things first. You are one of the people who encourage people to change their mind. So you'd be the last person I'd expect.
No, I'm just trying to get to know everything that was said. You can definitely change your mind. I just want to hear it from the horse's mouth what you actually meant, because obviously when people are getting clipped up, it's different.
I'm shameless with it. I thought Liverpool would not be as good as they are. I thought Arne Slot coming in, changing the whole backroom staff, having a new coach, new manager, new everything. There's no way in hell these guys are going to be competitive. And if Man City fall off, we would be there, ready to pounce. And I'm not really wrong in the same sense that Arsenal are still playing decent, even with the level of injuries we've had. But it's just Liverpool have been extremely fortunate with injuries, extremely fortunate with a lot of things going their way. And where you look at us, we've had a bunch of our best players in hospital beds or walking around wearing crutches this season. And that has negatively impacted us. But getting back to your main point, the main thing is I said Arne Slot and Liverpool, no chance they finish above Arsenal or win the league. And if they do, I would need to look at Arteta. But what's happened this season has made me think, you know what? It's not really that Arne Slot's just a better manager and Liverpool is so superior to Arsenal. It's small margins, and I don't really blame the manager for us being in the situation we're in right now, as I actually credit the manager for keeping us in this situation. Because you look over to the team that won 4 league titles, their one player goes down, their team falls like a house of cards. Where Arsenal, Odegaard's been out, Saka's been out, a bunch of our best players have been in and out of the team. To start the season, DG, we had no midfield. In the middle of the season, we had no fullbacks. And at the end of the season now, we have no attackers. And we still are 7 points off the top of the table. So to a certain extent, you can't really fault the manager as much as people want to, like Yardman and other people you're gonna have on your shows.
Yeah, Yardman, man.
They're gonna really go for the manager, but I don't think it's all on him.
No, that's fair. It definitely can't all be on him.
And that's really why I changed my tune. And also, there's this thing there's a word that I've been using a lot. And people are saying, yo, you learn new words, you just use it till it's dead.
Don't listen to online shenanigans, bro.
But it's been unprecedented, the circumstances that we found ourselves in this season, with the refereeing decisions that have not been seen before. Getting a red card for kicking the ball away twice. Never happened again since then. Also,
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but Liverpool could have had a man sent off for at least 2 incidences, including kicking the ball, as you said yesterday.
Bro, I'll gladly be that guy. Liverpool have had the most penalties given to them this season and have had the second least given against them this season. Arsenal have been awarded 2 penalties, I think, the whole entire season, and have had what do you call it, the most red cards awarded against us this season. And the severity of some of the punishments that we've had. A header, you play football, you watch football your whole life. Have you ever seen somebody get a penalty given to them for heading the ball in the box, going for a 50-50 in the box? Like Brighton game.
Just like Declan Rice's red card against Brighton. I mean, rules are rules, but again, if you're going to send Declan Rice off for that, there's got to be, in my opinion, there's definitely second yellows and reds every week. So there is inconsistencies in that regard.
What about the media coverage of it? Miles Lewis-Skelly's red card, immediately they turned.
Don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started on the media.
And I'm not even going into the race thing. I'm just
it's not even that. It's not even the race thing. It's it's evident that the way we are judged and the way other people are judged, I do think us Arsenal fans have this victims mindset, but there's a clear bias in how we're spoken about and then the others. I could even point you to the example of the Merseyside derby. I think football's gone a bit too silly in that, yeah, Everton's form's turned around, but them and Liverpool in two different hemispheres per se. You can't get at Liverpool for showing passion. You can't get at Everton for being happy about drawing. And then we're killed for battering City. We're killed for celebrating relegation. Leicester. We're killed, what was it, last year or the year before, for what happened with Bournemouth. So you're definitely right with the inconsistencies.
And Arteta, way Arteta's spoken about, he's spoken about as an unhinged manager who has no idea what he's doing. But Arne Slot loses his cool in the Merseyside derby. You know what the article is? Oh, the Zen master has finally lost his cool. Like, you can't make this shit up, bro. But hey,
that's why you got to switch off from it. It will turn you crazy. As I said, I do think on one hand, Arsenal are victims, and what Arsenal fans do behave like victims and kind of overdo it sometimes. At the same time, though, it's evident they're playing in our face. They're it's like poking a bear and then calling them crazy for reacting. It really doesn't want to make sense. You made a lot of good. Go on.
But I'm the problem apparently because I call these things out, bro. The Wolves game yesterday was the perfect example. We played Wolves recently, and we got a decision go against us, if I'm not mistaken, and we still won the game. They received a penalty. They received a second penalty, which was wrongfully awarded to them, which they overturned, and they could have had a player sent off. Not one time did you see any of those situations go negatively for them. Now,
you're right in that.
And you can make the case that was a very soft penalty. You can make the case that the second one should have been booked as a yellow card, and Konate should have been sent off. But Liverpool never get the ultimate punishment, where I've seen Arsenal this season get numerous times where we've gotten the harsh end of of a 50-50 decision. And it almost seems like, I don't want to say it, but I've been saying
say it, man. You've come out gun
the refereeing decisions.
Go ahead, man.
I think at least 6 or 7 point swing towards Liverpool this season because of referee decisions, let alone in the game at the Emirates where Konate went through the player. You know what they said? Saliba didn't head the ball. The ball hit Saliba's head. Well, Konate didn't catch the ball. He went through Martinelli's leg, and Martinelli's leg caught the ball. So why doesn't that rule apply to both sides? Like, if the Brighton penalty was a penalty, how is Konate's challenge on Martinelli not a penalty?
I wish I had answers for you, man. I remember against Aston Villa as well, where I think it hit Konza's hand and it wasn't given. Yeah. No, there is a bias. I do think, though, yes, we can complain about refereeing. I do think in a lot of these games, like I mentioned Brighton, I think we could have killed that game before the red card incident. I think we could have snatched it after. I'm not backing up the refs. I just feel a bit like you said, I play Sunday League. You have to assume the referees are terrible. You are right, though. And you said a lot of things I want to unpack, though. But I want to go back to initially what I asked you. How is this a blessing in disguise or whatever comment it is if we don't win the league? I need to know specifically how it is.
To give you the concept, we were talking about what positives can come from this season. And I said the only blessing in disguise that can come from not winning this season is that with the injuries and adversity we faced, we've unearthed talents and given them opportunities to show their quality to the level where we don't need to now spend that same money on a backup for Bukayo Saka. We have Ethan, who not only can be a backup, but can push Saka and other players in his position. Similar thing with Miles Lewis-Skelly getting a lot of game time and him becoming a focal point in our defensive line and really not getting cooked at all on that left flank since he's been in the team. So as much as there's been a lot of negatives in injuries and poor performances at times, and some games where we shouldn't have dropped points, you can take away that you've saved yourself millions in two amazing academy talents. And I do think, as much as there's so many things you can draw on negatives on a regular basis, you have to look at that and say, you know what, that is a positive that's come from this season. And I don't think it's something that you can say, oh, well, they're always going to get game time, they're always going to play. You don't know that. Sometimes the perfect circumstances have to present themselves for that opportunity to take place and for them to take it. And that can be something that can be looked at as a blessing that comes from a poor season if we don't win anything and we get knocked out of all the competitions and we have a poor end to the season.
I mean, we've got one more chance at a cup, really, where you look at cup competition with the champs, Premier League. We will get on to that, but small hopes at best. I do agree in that the way you're kind of looking at, I hear it. I don't necessarily agree with the terminology of it being a blessing. I hear it though. I mean, you look at when Saka came through to a degree, you could say Martinelli and Smith Rowe, the conditions weren't favorable. And yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. If we never had these injuries, potentially, you don't see Lewis Skelly do what he's doing at left back. You don't see Ethan get game time and look confident. As you said, though, we don't know. And while I agree with that particular point, you could look at another perspective and say Cream always rises to the top, even though I don't necessarily believe that. I want to speak about Arteta, man. I can't remember word for word what you said, but you more or less said he can't be blamed for certain things. What can he be blamed for this season?
Okay. Arteta can't be blamed for injuries. Arteta can't be blamed for deficiencies in he what Arteta can be blamed for, in my opinion, is in-game management when we're up and we're not putting teams away. Because I feel like when we're up, when we're in control, and he has substitutions available, sometimes he doesn't do those. So in-game substitutions, in-game management, at times it can get away from him. But what we can't blame him for is, for example, the loss to Inter, where it's 0-0 and we can see the penalty.
Yeah, we got zanged by that penalty.
Yeah, you can't blame him for games like that. When Newcastle, I believe Newcastle, when we were at home and we had all those chances and we didn't finish them, I can't blame him for those kind of games. Manchester United, similar situation, where when he puts the players in the perfect situation to create chances, get numerous opportunities to the point where they can't finish a tap in front of the goal. At that point, you have to look at the players and say they're letting him down. Because
but you don't think we were saying that last season?
The difference is last season we clicked into gear and we ended up finishing with the most goals in Arsenal's history in the league, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the credit to the manager's ability to be able to do that with an attack who everyone would admit is nowhere near some of our best attacks under Arsene Wenger. It's nowhere near the quality in that team.
But didn't he build that attack, being devil's advocate? He spent 60 odd million on Kai Havertz. The midfield experiment didn't work. Obviously, he has to get credit for Saka. And on the left hand side, he's doing what he's doing.
I think Arteta's built. Actually, I think Arteta's built with certain level of scraps. Like, I don't think he's been given everything he wants, and I know I have evidence. Alexander Isak.
He definitely hasn't.
He wanted Alexander Isak. He didn't end up getting him because of a difference in agreements with the board on what his valuation was. Similar thing, we wanted Rafinha. He chose to go to Barcelona. Similar thing, we wanted Vlahovic. He didn't want to come to us. We told we put our hands up and said, we can't get him. Sesko in the summer. This is where we made a mistake. We wanted him. He did not want to be messing up with his development and not get guaranteed game time. We did not do the Chelsea thing and say, you know what, you come here, you're going to play no matter what, and lie to them. We told them the truth. You're going to have to rotate and work your way into the team.
Ain't that a mistake on Arteta's fault then? Because going back to what you said, I genuinely agree with what you're saying. I do think there's there's times where Arteta can be held accountable.
That's where I agree that he's messed up.
Yeah, I think you made a great point about how sometimes I feel his game management can be a bit shaky, but other times he has coached a very good performance. And I kind of what you said, I always think of the saying, what do they say? Something like, I can take you to the water, but I can't help you drink. Where I mentioned last season now, it's because you're bang on the money, and that we scored 90 or the 100 odd in all comps. There was, like, this season, there's a couple of times we're scoring 3, 4, 5 goals. But though, my bro, where you look at a 38 game calendar, I would describe the fine margins there's about 5 games that kind of make or break our season, right? And where I look at, it's the FA Cup, but Liverpool in the FA Cup, I'm definitely sure Aston Villa away, 100% Newcastle away, which was marred by VAR. Don't you think Mikel Arteta hasn't learned from and he's not, I'm not saying it's all him, but don't you think it's kind of the same season on repeat on the goal scoring front, in that when our backs are against the wall and we need to get goals, we're not getting it? And that takes me back to the Sesko thing. Yeah, you could ask, questions over Sesko if he doesn't think he can play ahead of Kai Havertz, but do you really think he was convinced? Because surely, respectfully to Kai Havertz, if you're meant to be a gunman striker or a potential striker, you're looking at Kai and saying, you know what, I'll wait my time. This is food, really, surely. So, like, how far does that go, really, if was in terms of, the players have let him down, if we've seen that on repeat last year? Surely it can't go far, bro.
Arsenal are currently still in the title race. Would you agree with that?
I don't look at the league table. I don't know, my guy. I don't know.
Okay,
I
would
don't
you
know.
say Arsenal are still in the race for with Liverpool without looking at the table?
Chasing pack. We need a lot of variables to probably fall in our regards. But yeah, you could say that.
Are we the
There's
only
small
team that's
hope.
pushing Liverpool? How about that? Rephrase it.
Say that one more time.
Are we the only team putting pressure on Liverpool? How about that?
By default, yeah. But how far does that go, though, bro? Because this is, if I just ask you, like, including this year, you look at 2022,
I'm
23.
building to a point. There's the second part to this.
Go on, go ahead.
The second part is: have you looked at the goal scoring table in the Premier League recently?
Yeah, well, that's second.
And who in the top goal scorers out of the top 15 is in there that's an Arsenal player?
I think you're probably looking at Kai Havertz and Saka.
Saka's not even top 30, bro.
Well, then, yeah, then you're looking at Kai Havertz.
So we have one player in the top 30 in the Premier League goal scoring, and we're second most goals scored, and we're second in the league challenging. Now you tell me, how is that attacking deficiencies on the manager alone? He's doing the best with what he has.
I never said alone.
No. I'm saying to the people who are criticizing Arteta for that attack, he's doing the best to his disposal with the players that he has to his thing. Mo Salah is at Liverpool. Erling Haaland is at City. You got Cole Palmer at Chelsea. Arsenal have set pieces. We have found a way to equalize what our deficiencies are with.
We scored one in a minute, man.
With something that a lot of teams don't utilize as effective as we do, and that is down to the coaching and the people at Arsenal being able to utilize something else to find ways to win. We're thinking outside the box, similar to how we played Mikel Merino as striker on the weekend and got us.
We're going to get onto that
game. I don't think Arteta gets nearly enough praise for still having us in this position with the deficiencies that we have. Other teams just look at those deficiencies and say, you know what, that's it, write it off, pack up the season. Man City did that, and they won 4 league titles in a row. But we're judged on a different level because we haven't won recently. But when you actually look at it,
that's true.
Based on the run of the season and what we have to our disposal, we should not be anywhere near Liverpool with the injuries and the deficiencies we've had in our attack. But when you look at it on another page, Liverpool lose Mo Salah, Liverpool lose Luis Diaz, Liverpool lose Gakpo. They're just as shit as our attack outside of those guys. So I don't think people really realize that it's small margins, the difference between winning the league and losing. We lost the league by 2 points last year. That's one win. That's literally one goal, potentially.
And I can point you to 3, 4, 5 times where we should have won certain games. So you are right in that regard. But then, as you just said it there, yeah, like, isn't that a collective failing on everybody, including Mikel Arteta? Because you're right about the fine margins, but we came into the season, for me, knowing that we need to be on the right side of the fine margins. You could say if Liverpool lose X, Y, Z, especially Salah, yeah, there'll be issues, but they've got more attacking depth than us. They have a small squad.
Do they?
Huh?
Do they?
Deluded. They have a smaller squad than us. 100% they have a smaller squad than us.
No, bro. The difference is they have a difference maker that's better than all of our difference makers. But if I go list by list, we could go bar for bar with Liverpool when it comes to the rest of the guys. Take Saka and Salah out of the team. Let's go bar for bar. How about that?
That's not my discussion. I'm saying they've got a smaller squad than us. They genuinely have a smaller squad than us. They've been able to keep everyone fit. They're still in all 4 comps. My point is not to criticize Arsenal or criticize Liverpool. It's just they've controlled the fine margins. We necessarily haven't. I don't feel it's one where you could pile on us, but we can't do the woe is me thing. Again, you look at the last 2 windows, and just based on last season, as you said, we missed out by 2 points. Evidently, we need a goal scorer. I'm not here to say it's all Arteta or it's all the Cronkies or whatever. Collectively, between the summer and January, as you said, we're relying on Kai Havertz. You rightly so. You articulated where he is in the goal scoring thingy, right? That's what we needed. We have not added to that. We have not added to the left wing. And going into the summer, going into the season, bro, I'm pretty sure every Arsenal fan had that conversation. If Ben White's missing, if Odegaard's missing, if Saka's missing, if this one's missing, that one's missing. We've seen kind of that player. And you are right. You are right in the sense of, regardless, we're still up there. We're still fighting. We're still in and around. But then it's going to be 3 seasons. And I'm not here to do the sacking Arteta. He's the best thing since sliced bread, all that. But it's 3 seasons where we know we've done well in some and we've not done well in others. But fundamentally, we haven't won. And going back to what you said, yeah, whether Liverpool are going to fall off next season or not, we've not taken advantage of that City fall off. So how far does it go? Like, how far does it seem? We can do the courageous thing and we've had injuries and we're still tugging along. But how far does that go, bro?
Deluded. Do you genuinely put this all on we don't all put it on. Obviously, you don't put it all on Arteta. But the question you're asking is almost saying, how far do I go with Arteta? I
No,
don't.
I said, how
I
far
don't
does
think
that
this is.
go
I don't think
as
this is the finished
collectively as a
article.
whole club before we try the other side of it?
Okay.
I'm just purely
I-
being devil's advocate.
I completely agree. You have to. This is what you're doing. This is why I'm here. You need to get the right answers. Now, when it comes to the summer, I agree. We made a mistake in the summer. We made a mistake in January. Evident to how Arteta did was said he was disappointed after
That's
the
true
summer
as well.
ended. And in the same breath, you could say the team that's top of the league didn't sign nobody in 2 windows also, or they got Chiesa, and it's not really any different to Raheem Sterling. But I would probably have Chiesa over Raheem Sterling right now.
We're gonna unfortunately have to cover Sterling at some point, bro.
Yeah.
Leave it till now. I don't want to upset myself.
But to debunk the whole summer thing, although we both agree the summer and the January were poor, that's not an excuse on why we're not winning the league. Although we need a striker, that's not an excuse on why we're not winning the league. I genuinely believe right now, toe to toe, if we're fit and available for the and we had similar availability fitness wise to Liverpool, we don't have the poor start to the season that we had with Martin Odegaard, Mikel Merino available as rotation early in the season. We don't have the same level of injury situation. If Ben White, Calafiori, and Saliba and Gabriel aren't missing games throughout the middle of the season. For God's sakes, we played Liverpool with how many players out? We played Aston Villa and Tottenham with how many players out? We went away to Man City with a couple of with Odegaard out, if I'm not mistaken, right? A lot of these are some of our key pieces, and we still were
dodgy refereeing decisions.
Yeah, and then I don't want to go back to the refereeing decisions. Just looking at the injuries alone, I think regardless what we did in the summer and January, we have a good enough team to beat Liverpool to this league. The thing is, they have had 7 out of their 11 best players available for the majority of the season, to the point where none of them have been rotated throughout the season to start games and cut.
Is that just luck for you, or is it something else? Because you look at us last season, we had a clean run with injuries. This season's a completely different one. Is it something we was doing last season but not doing now? Is it something Liverpool are doing different compared to us? Like, is it were we kind of owed these injuries? Because a couple of these players, we've been saying this for years that they're overplaying and whatnot. Like, I know it's a bit of bad fortune, but like when you try and peel back the curtains, like where do you have it down to?
People say Arteta doesn't rotate while Arne Slot rotates. Tell me when Arne Slot rotated in the Champions League and in the league. Besides the last game of the Champions League, he never rotated his team. Gravenberch has played every single game this season. Van Dijk, every single game. Mo Salah, every single game in the league and Champions League. When you look at McAllister, every game when he wasn't on a red, he played. You go to the defense. Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, one of them always are on the pitch, and one of them is always on the bench. They never have missed a game, those two. And I'm not done. Andy Robertson, even though he's not doing so well, he's either always been available to come off the bench or to start. And we just have not had that luxury to have that many key players available. Arsenal have had 2 players available the whole season. You know who that is? Raya, and can you name the other one?
Raya. It's not Saliba, it's not Gabriel. Is it Kivior?
Trossard. If it wasn't
yeah. Trossard.
If it wasn't for the red card, those are the only 2 players who've not gotten injured the entire season. Everybody else in and out or injured now, like Martinelli and Havertz. So in the grand scheme of things, how on earth are we still in a title race with no striker, a terrible attack, midfield, defense all getting injured, refereeing decisions going against us every 2
lost in 15 games as well.
And we're still undefeated in 15 games. And people want Arteta out discussions. People want to have discussions about why we should replace the manager, and he's the problem. Excuse me? I'm sorry, Deluded. What am I missing? Why is it that every issue that is happening is an excuse, and the manager is being blamed for things that he can't control? He can't control Kai Havertz missing sitters. He can't control the referees losing their mind.
Leading your line though.
He can't. No. But
as a club, like let's just say club, whether it's Arteta, sporting director who left, sporting director now, Cronkies. In the same way that if me and you are having different conversations, everyone's been fit or we had depth, I'd praise everyone. So rather than individually, let's just say as a club, like let's just band it under as a club. But go on.
No. Go back to the Havertz point then. I don't disagree with you. We do better than Havertz. But right now, don't forget that with him being injured, we're looking back and we're saying, you know what, he does a lot compared to in this team. He might not be the best finisher, but with the pressing and
I
what
always
he
say,
does,
apart from Bukayo Saka, rightly or wrongly, Kai Havertz is probably our most reliable tackle, which, with respectfully to Kai Havertz, is probably an issue in itself, but he's not picking himself, etc. So you are right in that regard.
and we just came off a season where we challenged to the second day, the last day of the season. They have Erling Haaland, we had Kai Havertz, and we still were up there. I don't think Kai Havertz is necessarily the problem this season. I don't think the striker issue is necessarily the problem this season. I don't even think the signings is a problem this season. I think this season just solely goes back down to two things: the injuries and the refereeing decisions screwing us over to a level where we can't control. Now, if you want to say, Igal, where's your accountability for what you've done? Well, we can talk about all the things that we could have done, but that's not really holding ourselves accountable if we're talking about what we could have done. What we can do to improve, what we can do to try to fix things going forward is bury our chances and not let the referee be a decider. What we can do to improve
like against Wolves.
Yeah, what we can do to improve ourselves is to try to not turn the ball over in the midfield like Thomas Partey does, and not turn the ball over in our own attacking third, and try to be better on the ball, because we've been poor on the ball for the majority of the season, I would say. We have not been as slick with the ball and holding on to possession as we have been the last couple of years. And then the final thing, if I'm going to say hold the manager accountable for something, I think the main thing Arteta can do better this season is, if you see players are not having a good game, don't be afraid to take them off earlier. And he has been doing that lately. So all this stuff about holding people accountable, people are trying to say hold the manager accountable for signings in the summer. That's not really holding somebody accountable. That's wishful thinking that you can go back in time and reverse your mistakes.
I think everyone should be held accountable for the summer. Again, I'm not a fly on the wall. I don't know if Arteta was suggested targets. He didn't take them up on it. I don't know if Arteta was pushing for players and the board let him down. And we could have a different conversation in that regards, in which I'm a bit conflicted, because on one hand, I do feel sorry for naturally Mikel Arteta. We're flirting with success. If the board is letting you down, fair enough. But at the end of the day, no one put a gun to your head to take this job in it. You know the ethos at your club. You know it's like your job. You know how your manager operates and whatnot. And then it's kind of that. And then it's kind of down to you. The only thing I disagree with is, I don't feel as a football club we've collectively, from us as fans, from the club, I don't think we've focused on fine margins enough. Unpopular opinion, I don't really care about what we're good at personally. It's not that I don't care. It's amazing. Take that good stuff and make it great. It's the evidence, the issues around depth, the issues around, like you said, putting the ball in the back of the net. As I said earlier, turning those 4 or 5 games that make our season, if they were going to be defeats, turning them into draws. I agree with what you're saying 100%, especially around the refs, especially around conscientious decisions. For me, I can't, while they play a part, I can't necessarily look at them too much. I can only look at the controllables. And then I look at a couple of games in which you are right. We have been done dirty by refs. Some of the games you haven't killed them. But then there is the Bournemouth away. There is the Newcastle away. There is the Fulham game where, for me, it's nothing to do with necessarily the manager, the players, the referees. We just didn't do our job. And unfortunately for me, my guy, and we're going to get on to it.
Didn't Saliba get sent off?
He did get sent off. He should have been sent off. I can't lie, he's the last man. Like, that is a red card. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you not watch the Chelsea? You didn't watch along for the Chelsea game that same week and they didn't get a player sent off in that game.
Yeah, we know there's inconsistencies, but we got a man sent off. And I think even before, you could advocate it and say, yeah, 11 versus 11, we do something. But I genuinely don't think we turned up full stop for Bournemouth. I personally think that's a game we have to hug that.
No, Martinelli could have buried it.
He could have buried it. That's my thing. We collectively as a team, we have not, whether we're all a team, whether it's just Mikel Arteta or Kai's made a mistake or Saliba's fucked up or whatever, we are a team. It's 90, there's 11 men out there. It's 90 minutes. We can do the coulda, woulda, shoulda. I just don't think we turned up at Bournemouth. I think we shot ourselves in the foot against Fulham. Newcastle away. Well, to be honest, this season we've kind of been poor anytime we've played Newcastle. Newcastle away, we're poor. Which goes back to my point, bro. It's about fine margins. And I do feel, away from the ref stuff, I feel Liverpool have been on the right side of the fine margins a lot more than us, and I think that is generally how the season's kind of gone. I look at their, rightly or wrongly, the way they beat Bournemouth, the way they beat Brentford, actually how it could have, yes, referees played a part yesterday, but the way Wolves kind of, Wolves had them under the ropes, low key at
10
times.
shots in the
Yeah,
second half.
they got, apparently Liverpool didn't even have shots on target in the second half. So I just think Liverpool have showed different ways of getting it over the line. And it takes me back to, you know what, in terms of the title race, bro, I do think, yeah, it might have been a different story for me had we have got that victory against them at the Emirates. I might be looking at this a lot more positively.
The
All right,
refs
cool.
took that from us also.
Huh?
The refs took that from us also.
Yeah, but we can't, like, there's also been times we've got away.
Penalty could have been given could have been.
Yeah, the ref zanged us. The ref defo zanged us. But then look at the goal we conceded. I think, was it Darwin Núñez who put it in the back of the net, or was it Salah? I think whoever done it. Do you remember that game? Yeah, like a lot of fans were calling us. They were saying we're not going forward. We're being a bit too negative. If you remember that game, we were being quite conservative, managing the game. The one time we gambled, obviously you saw what Trent, Darwin Núñez, and Salah did. So, and this is my thing. It's
no Gabriel, no Saliba on the pitch.
Exactly, we did well actually with the man we're going to get onto, Mikel Merino. I do think, contrary to popular belief, I think you can have question marks over Arteta. I don't think Arteta has earned the right to just be backed blindlessly and he does no wrong and he can walk on water and all of those kind of things. What I will say is there's clearly a good side here. There is a good side. There's many, as much as there's negatives, there's clearly things to be positive about. We ain't lost in 15 games. For me, it's now about going to the next level in terms of the rebuild and all of that. And this goes for as a club. Rebuild, all of that, great. Getting over the line, that's still a cloud over our heads, man. And it does. Maybe you're a lot more optimistic than me, but I don't know where you're at. Where are you at in terms of somewhat winning the league? Because it would be romantic with, like you said, the injuries, the referees, shooting ourselves in the foot in the summer, and in January. It'd be romantic if we win the league. It's looking like Mighty Ducks.
We are in the best state out of every club in the Premier League.
Say that again, please.
We currently are in the best state out of every club in the Premier League. You look
Expand
at
on that for those that don't know.
Look at every club in the Premier League. Compare them to Arsenal. We currently have the best age, the best profiles. We have a team full of pieces that are quality. And you look at the two other teams that are close to us in Liverpool and City, they have aging players in certain areas. Mo Salah, Van Dijk, two of their best players aging. You look at
3 deals running out at the end of the season as well.
And 3 deals running out at the end of the season. You look at City. City, outside of Erling Haaland and Foden and Rodri, the rest of the team, they need to rebuild. They need to rebuild the midfield. They need to rebuild the defense. They need to build a lot of the stuff. And Arsenal, when you look at across Europe, we have two of the best centre back pairings in the there. Our midfield.
Say that again, man.
we have solid. We have our defense sorted for the next 3-4 years minimum, as long as these guys don't go nowhere.
I think that's a fair
From
shot.
the fullbacks to the goalkeeper to the defense. You go to the right wing. Bukayo Saka and Ethan sorted. Right. You look at the midfield right now. We need to find replacements for Partey and Jorginho.
Do you give Partey a new deal? Why you're on that?
No.
Do you give Partey a new deal?
No. We're gonna get onto that. Simply put, I think Thomas Partey, he's been fortunate with injuries recently, but he's extremely injury prone in the past. And at the age, with the money that he's getting, we can get somebody younger with more scope to grow and improve. And I love Thomas Partey, don't get me wrong, but recently I think he has been showing that his legs are slightly going and he has the quality on the ball, but for how long can we see it? We've seen players drop off a cliff quite quickly, and I think he's on the edge of that cliff, and we don't want a Casemiro 2.0 situation on our hands.
We ain't going out like that, man. God forbid. And that's one thing. I don't like to look at other clubs, and I just like to focus on my club. But when you look at the two who played yesterday and obviously Chelsea, we do have to somewhat count our blessings, man. You are right in that. But yeah, how optimistic are you on winning the title then, man? Because for me, it looks like it's going to be, I know you've watched Coach Carter and Mighty Ducks. It looks like it's going to, if that was the films that Arsenal was, that's going to be us. But give us a reason. Give me a reason to be optimistic, man. How hopeful are you?
Arteta's Coach Bombay. There you go. Listen, set piece coach makes sense too, because with the triangle and everything. But I'll say this, man. I don't think we're gonna win the league unless Liverpool fall off a cliff, and I just don't see them falling off a cliff. Really and truly, I have been waiting to see when Liverpool are going to fall off, hoping and praying that they fall off. But unless they have massive injuries to Mo Salah and Van Dijk or something like that, which I would never wish upon anybody, by the way. I'm not wishing injuries on anybody, but unless something massive like that happens, I don't think it's gonna happen.
So you think it's too much of a
Yeah,
margin,
but
really?
the Champions League, by the way, it's a cup competition. It's a cup competition.
Talk to me about the champs.
It's a cup competition.
Yeah, we know that, but where are you getting at? Talk to us, man.
It's a cup competition. We could find ourselves on a fortunate run, and all it takes is a bunch of your players coming back before the quarterfinals and semifinals, and you could be 2 or 3 games away from winning a cup. Now, I don't think we're going to win the Champions League either, but I think right now, if I were to say what do we have a better chance of winning, the Champions League or league, it might be more possible for us to win the league still, but the Champions League is something that we still need to take extremely serious. And if Saka, Martinelli can come back, and we have ourselves a decent shell in that midfield and defense, we can win the league off. We can win the Champions League after our defense. But we're gonna need some of our difference makers to step up, Bukayo Saka and others. And I just don't know if we have enough difference makers right now to get us over a 2-legged tie versus Real Madrid, or who else would it be? I think we could beat Barcelona or Liverpool over 2 legs. It's just the Champions League.
Why? You got to back that statement up, man. Let people know
it's the
why.
Champions League hoodoo. That's the thing. I feel like there's this whole thing about the Champions League where it's like you're playing at midweek, you're playing in a different competition. People are a lot more aggressive, and it's like you're playing twice a week. Also, you can't rest your players midweek. You got to play serious in the Champions League and in the league. And it's like if we're out of the title race and we focus solely on the Champions League, we could go far. But I just don't know if
what is far though.
I think we're gonna get minimum semifinals.
That's another 2 rounds, the 2 legs in the next round, and you got you got the next round, then you'd have the quarters, and then you'd have the semis. I don't know, Gal, man. I'll be honest, because for me, I just feel it's about fine margins. Like you look last year against Bayern Munich, I don't feel we were any better or worse than them. We competed across 2 legs, and yeah, that's another game we should have had a penalty. But
I was the one who historically said, "Bring me Bayern."
Yeah. I
didn't regret it. I didn't regret it. Don't get me wrong. I wanted Bayern Munich. It's just they weren't better than us, or they weren't better than us in the season. But they over 2 legs. I think you could say Arteta got outcoached because
that's how the champs is though. Like that's what I mean about fine margins, because it's not necessarily about being the better team. It's literally just about taking your moments. Like obviously we are not Real Madrid, but Real Madrid, the last couple of times, without being disingenuous, they've won the Champions League. Forget the final. You can focus on the quarters or the semis. They haven't necessarily been the best team over 90 minutes. It's just when Carlo does the eyebrows, when their players do their nonsense, they get over the line. Now, I think personally, obviously, naturally, all my hopes are going to be in Bukayo Saka. But from the moment he comes back, he's going to need to get up to speed. You've said it there, and I agree with you. You know, Ethan's a very young, talented player. But that's a 17-year-old asking him to like put the club on his shoulders. I think the one thing I'd be a bit optimistic about would be our defense. I must admit, though, there definitely the second leg against Bayern Munich, and I would say I can't remember if it was the first or second, but the first game in Portugal against Porto, I think they kind of looked a bit nervous. I just think it's too much of a big ask, man. I would rather win the champs than the Prem. But it's a madness. I think where the champs Premier League, is concerned is, as you said, we don't wish injuries on anyone, but we're hoping that there's a bit of a fall off there with Liverpool. You're hoping they drop points, you know, with Aston Villa and all these games, and they've got a fixture pile up. I just think there's too much margin for error, man. I just think Liverpool would have to try very hard to allow Arsenal to win this. And I know people have said this before, but if Arsenal did do that, for me, it'd be the biggest capitulation of a league campaign. Where I'm at with Arsenal, I'm negative about the injuries. I am questioning the process, not necessarily with Arteta, with where the club is going, because as you said earlier, we finished 2 points off City. But from a sporting front, like purely sporting, like you said, the 11, the squad, you're excited. You just think couple more players and we're gone. From like people above Arteta, it just seems like we're in the Champions League is kind of cool. Like whether it was doing something in January or the summer, that tells me from above. I'm going off topic here, but
let me stay on that for a second.
Go on.
We are run by lawyers, bro.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being run by lawyers. We're just not run by lawyers that understand football, bro. And that's where I said, how much can we allow Arteta? Because you know the process that you're working in. Like Klopp had certain things that
Mikel Mudrik's transfer to Chelsea has screwed us over. And I'll tell you why.
Well, you need to tell us why. Where we
Because
go here?
that transfer flopping so bad, and Leandro Trossard being 25 million and working out so well, has made Arsenal so risk adverse to the level where they're scared to make mistakes. And some of the people at board level, who like Tim Lewis, Richard Garlick, who their job is to evaluate if something is worth it, because the manager is always going to want something more. So they have to protect the Kroenke's pockets. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Kroenkes are necessarily being cheapskates. I think the people that they have running the club are very scared of making a Mikel Merino, an Anthony type mistake, or a Pepe type mistake again, to the level where they are 15 million off a player that you really want, who your scouts have said is really good. They're saying we don't want him. They're looking at players. They're saying we don't want him just because they're a couple million or a couple 10 million, or we have our valuations. If a club says 10 million more than the valuation, we seem to be walking away. And I think it's down to the lawyers running the club becoming extremely risk adverse. And it goes back for me to the potential signing of Mikel Merino. And the fact that he went to Chelsea and he's been that bad has made them reevaluate how much money they're willing to put and resources they're willing to put on each transfer and what their cutoff is. And if they reach that cutoff, they just walk away.
Is that fair though? Because I'm like, is that fair? Because I don't think you're wrong, but being devil's advocate, and we've got to be fair to everyone. Yeah, we still signed Kai Havertz, in which I think Kai Havertz has turned out to be a better signing than fans would have given him a chance, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, and he's a lot. We've spoken about him. He's a lot more consistent and all of that. But I very much doubt 65 million and Kai Havertz. Everybody was unanimously agreed. They did smash their record. Well, our club record at the time with Declan Rice. Is that necessarily fair to say that to them then?
Kai Havertz has returned his money in 65 million. He's been worth it.
No, but at the time, because you just said on one hand that they don't take risks. Kai Havertz weren't, I could say in Declan Rice's defense, but you could not see evidently, maybe Arteta could, but as a fan, or them in the board, because the Athletic said that not everyone was agreeing on it, how Kai Havertz improves Arsenal. And it did take us a while. So is that fair on one hand to say they're risk averse, and then they've spent 65 million on a player that you don't necessarily know, spent 100 million on Declan Rice? Is that necessarily fair to them then?
I think the mistake was made in this summer where we signed Jesus. We should have just spent the money on Isaac. I think they were looking to improve by small margins instead of looking at getting somebody who has the potential to actually reach the top level. Deluded. It's not the 65 million on Havertz is the problem. I think the problem is we were just in the
and
summer.
They did give him left backs and goalies galore, even though they could have said there's other areas. Is that fair?
I think we, as a club, in the summer when we were signing Jesus and Zinchenko, we're only looking to get back to the top four, and we're making signings to get back into the top four. Now that we're in a title race, we need to get signings to get us to the next level. And the issue that people have is we were looking at baby steps instead of looking at the final picture. And that's where they should have gone and gotten Bruno G in the January a couple of years ago. They should have gone and got Isaac. They should have gone Isaac a couple of years ago. That is where we messed up. Havertz 65 million is not the mess up. The mess up where we messed up is not saying, you know what, forget about Declan Rice in the summer. Get Caicedo now, not Jorginho. We win the league that first year when we challenge if we go and get Caicedo instead of Jorginho. You know what I mean?
I don't know, because I still think about that first half, let alone the second, that first half against Aston Villa. And I think Caicedo would have been part of the foolishness with everyone. But that's where I'm at with the title race as well, to quickly jump back in that. I'm pessimistic about our chances for what you and me have both said about Liverpool. Obviously, the injuries, the players recovering, the depth, the yada, yada, yada. But when I get beyond that, and if I don't think we're winning, at the end of the day, I'm just going to support my boys in it. We hope for a miracle. We take it game by game, and we kind of play it by ear. Do you feel the club have to get next summer right? And this summer, and what I mean by that is, I think you, me, everyone would agree, every club is not going to get every player out and bring every player in. But we are in that stage now, whether it's Isaac, Sesko, Zubamendi, Nico Williams, whatever have you, we're being briefed about next season. And as you've been referring to, which I agree with, it's not like we're a million miles off the Premier League, but it is another year explaining that. Do you think the club have to get this summer right in terms of adding quality to the starting 11 and depth? And if they don't, can you blame fans for maybe not necessarily being disillusioned with Mikel Arteta or the players, but as a club, as a whole, everyone's in this now. Like, could you understand that? If the summer doesn't bang, why they think, you know what, we're being had on here?
Deluded. The simple answer, it's yes. You have to improve. But the honest truth is, just don't get worse. Do not regress. Because
Sure.
I believe this team, as currently constructed, if fully fit, is the best team in the league.
But when are you going to have favorable conditions where everybody's fit, though? Even last season, we were injury-free. We still missed 3 of our key players.
That's where we need to go in the summer, and we need to go and get Zubimendi, go and get another midfielder of quality that can do the box-to-box thing and help us out in that position. Get a striker, get a left winger. And if we get those 4 pieces, we're still going to need a backup goalkeeper in like Garcia or something.
We're going to need about 2 of them, really.
So, what, 2 backup goalkeepers?
Yeah, you're going to need a second and third choice.
No, we have the academy kid. Give Telford the backup goalkeeper, the third.
Probably expect them to push for a loan, if I'm honest with you. But go on.
He might actually get game time. Arteta
as a third choice goalie, you can get game time.
Hey, our second choice goalkeeper this season didn't play until the FA Cup.
So that's not game time. That's not game time. That's going to make you improve as a young goalie.
No, but the third, maybe one cup can be the third choice, and the second choice can play in the other cup.
But we've seen Arteta is going to play his strongest team. Fair enough. The League Cup, you could say that Neto probably would have had a bag of games up until a certain point. FA Cup, you could say that. But how much game time is that for a young keeper?
I don't think you want to utilize too much resources on backup keepers. That's my point.
We tried to get 2 keepers this summer, lad. Like that Dan Bentley guy and Garcia. So we was clearly committed to that, surely, no?
No, we were trying to get academy people. We were trying to get somebody from somebody who comes in as meets the English quota in Dan Bentley. That's probably why. As for Garcia, they actually view Garcia as the backup, the future backup, and I think he has 1 year left on his deal. So
I don't know. I just know he's got a release clause. He's like 21. I wonder how long he'd want to be second choice to Raya. You never know with Mikel Arteta's track record for goalies, but I just think in general, I'm keen to see how that looks because I do like the Garcia lad. He's just starting to play. I wonder how long him being at Arsenal before Arteta, quote unquote, has to make a decision because I just feel it's different when you're an experienced Neto. I'm not saying Neto don't want to play, but you get where I'm going in. He's been around the block. He understands where he's at. Joan Garcia, is it? I don't know how long he's going to want to sit down and be second choice or a decision has to be made. And I'm not saying Raya's put a foot wrong. We've got so many issues before we look at Raya.
Bro, look at Arteta, though.
And that's what I'm saying. With Arteta, you never know with the goalies. You never know.
I think Ortega is the perfect example. In the case you have a situation where anything happens to the keeper, you need to have somebody you can trust. And if that person is of quality and you have 2 quality keepers, one of them is going to have to know his place. I don't think it's going to be a situation where this guy's going to come in and have any say on when Raya doesn't play. But Raya this season, we got to give it up to him, bro. Man has not missed a single game for us in the league or in the Champions League.
As I said, we got bigger problems than Raya. And like you said earlier, the defensive third, obviously, we can make a case of, what Kivio it might be a last season. Zinchenko, your days are numbered.
How many players do you need? Because I named 5 players.
What are you talking about? To the starting 11 or the squad?
Squad. I'm saying striker, left winger, and I'm being realistic here. 2 midfielders, Zubimendi and another one. The backup goalkeeper.
I don't even think we get 2 midfielders, bro. I'll be real.
We have to.
I agree, but I just don't think we will, man. If it was up to me,
with Jorginho and Partey leaving, Zubimendi alone is not enough cover.
You're forgetting Kai. He's seen as an option in midfield. If you sign 2 midfielders, sign a striker, sign a left wing. I'm not saying Kai Havertz can't play, but looking at it diplomatically, you've got someone on 200 odd grand a week, someone who we both agree.
Lewis Kelly also.
Pardon me?
Lewis Kelly midfield also.
Lewis Kelly as well. I don't know where Arteta sees him at this moment in time and how much he would play in midfield because even now, as talented as Lewis Kelly is, and I'd love to see him in that 6 role, if he was seen as an out-and-out centre mid, you probably don't. You definitely play less minutes because you've got Partey and Rice primarily doing their thing. I do think, like I said, I want 2 central midfielders. I just don't think, for me, it's realistic to see 2 midfielders. So let's say that's 2 midfielders. That's Rice. That's Merino. That's the option of Kai Havertz.
It is realistic though.
Pardon?
If you get one like the Napo, the kid, the Norwegian kid, and you
I
get
want that because that is, you can, for me, I know fans get a bit annoyed and they say, oh, we're always signing players for tomorrow. I believe in doing both. Like you said, with a couple of names, like we're dream chasing, Gomares, Isaac, players of that caliber or players slightly below that can impact us right now, more forward. But likewise, you can never stop future planning. If you get this Nepan guy and he's great for the squad, then he can challenge Odegaard, great. If you sign him for 10 million, he's not quite doing it, but you turn him into a 30, 40, you already know where I'm going with this. You sell, you reinvest, you keep it moving. So I'm not necessarily against that. I'm even with that with the Hay lenders. Not everyone's going to be Saka and Lewis Skelly and Ethan. We need to get people to a point where they might, like the Waters guy, he's obviously gone Luton now. But if that's Chelsea, they're getting 10, 15, 20 million. And if we want to be self-financing, I know it's easy for me to say, but if you can turn over these players, a little couple players for 20, 30 odd million, I know it's not as easy as this, but that gets reinvested back into the market. And then when we're getting into situations, rightly or wrongly, where you might have to overpay for Ollie Watkins, maybe we can say, do you know what? The bread's there. Or is that paying over the odds? The bread's there.
If PSG offered us 100 million for Odegaard tomorrow, would you take
really?
it?
We ain't getting no 100 million offer for Odegaard, though, man.
Excuse me? They paid 100 million for Neto, no?
We're not getting 100 million.
How much did they pay for Neves?
He's a talented player. I'm not dissing Odegaard. We just know we're not. No one's bidding 100 million for Odegaard, though.
Would you sell Odegaard tomorrow if it meant we could replace him with like a Florian Wirtz?
It's Florian Wirtz, 1,000,000%. Like nothing to do with Odegaard necessarily. If Odegaard genuinely wants to go and we can get Florian Wirtz, I'm on that. But Odegaard is one of the least players I'm going to sell. He's our captain. He's central to our system. I know his season has been poor. Only God knows how key he is in the backroom stuff. I'm more likely to sell Martinelli before Odegaard. But again, Martinelli's not even going to have offers. Like the players that are going to bring them fees, we can't sell them unless Saliba says, you know what, I don't want to sign a new deal.
I think Saliba is the last player we should look at selling. I think it's very difficult to replace a centre back of his quality. Saka is not going nowhere, in my opinion. Out of the big three, I would say at Arsenal, Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba, the one who's the most expendable is Odegaard. And the reason why I brought it up is because if we're talking about reshaping the midfield, Zubimendi is going to do a lot of the deep ball playing that Odegaard does at times and Partey does. Rice is still going to be doing his running on the left 8. The real position we need to upgrade potentially in the midfield after we've already gotten replacement for Partey and Jorginho is going to be a better 10, because Odegaard is not really as good as a 10 as I thought he was. He's not clinical. He can't finish his dinner. And he, a couple years ago, had 15 goals in the league. And I don't see that happening again, in my opinion. I need to see more from him. I'm starting to lose faith in Martin Odegaard as the solution going forward and a player to build the team around. He is just a really good player, but he's not somebody you can build the team around as your go-to in every aspect. He can create, and he needs players around him, but he's not the guy who wins you a game by himself.
I'm with that. I agree with that. But Mikel Arteta, that's his guy, isn't it? Like, that's it, rightly or wrongly. Mikel Arteta, Odegaard's his guy. I don't think Odegaard's getting anywhere anytime soon. I'm not looking to replace Odegaard at all, or Saliba, or Bukayo Saka. Again, like, these are players that should be
counted. If you had to replace somebody, who would it be?
Out of who? Saliba, Gabriel, Saliba. What you said, Saliba, Odegaard, and Saka, right?
Saliba, Odegaard, Saka.
Naturally, it's going to be Odegaard. I do think people underestimate what Odegaard gives to our system, but 100%, like Saliba, like you'll agree, he's generational, he's all of that kind of stuff. I do think one day goes Real Madrid, it is what it is. Saka, of course, I'm emotionally attached. And you mentioned Salah. I'm not comparing Salah to Saka, but Saka is our Salah. He is that inevitable goal-scoring player. Obviously, if in this hypothetical universe, if Ethan was to nail down the right wing spot and be looking as good as Saka, and we've got a decision to make down the road, you could look at that. But without a doubt, it'd be Odegaard. I just don't think Arteta is going to do that. I just think Arteta's looked at it as, rightly or wrongly, I've got my Odegaard thing. Odegaard's form's in question, but not what he does for the team. Like, Odegaard's there, Rice is there. As you said, you need that Partey, that younger Partey or that Zubimendi. And then honestly, bro, I think it's, if you were to name Arsenal starting 11, yeah, I think everyone would probably agree like 90%. You might say Martinelli, I might say Trossard on the left. It depends what fullback combination you want to go with, but I think everyone's cool with that, whether it's Timber and Ben White, Calafiori and this one's Lewis Skelly and whatever. But when you break it down, midfield need that long-term Partey replacement. Left wing, I like Trossard, I like Martinelli. You man are on the bench. If you earn your spot, you earn your spot. But there needs to be an upgrade. Kai Havertz, again, I do think you deserve a lot of criticism, but I do think fans are very harsh to you. It's a unique talking point in itself. You need a striker. Then for me, it's about the depth. It's about getting in a couple of goalies or at the very minimum one. It's about just looking after the depth. Like numerous times, Mikel Arteta has said, we've got a squad of 19, 3 or 4 long-term injuries, trying to compete in 4 comps. And I'm no physio, bro, but I think when you look at, I would say Rice's broken toe or Rice's injury, Kai Havertz running into the ground where you can see it against Wolves, probably Bukayo Saka and Benjamin White. They've played a lot of games for club and country, the majority of them, or they've played a lot of games with injuries for Arsenal. We're probably owed this. And it's disappointing, but it's not surprising. And I know no 2 seasons are the same. I know we could talk about the Cronkies and Arteta and this, that, and the other. But generally, it feels like we're doing the same things and hoping for different results. And I find it quite scary when we sit here and we talk about favourable conditions. If everybody stays fit, if we can do this. Yes, this is things are right. But if it goes the other way and people are injured, who's going to, like, how do we maneuver? And that's where I think as a club, we make 2 forward steps, 2 backward steps. And I generally think the summer was a missed opportunity. Whether I really do think it is. I think it is. I'm a big fan of Calafiori. I'll fight his case. He's only 22. I just mentioned Gabriel, right? He joined us at 22. What are we talking about him at 27? Moreno, we're going to get onto him in just a second. I don't feel he was a level raiser. I think he's calm for the squad. Obviously, Sterling and Neto, it is what it is. Deadline day, we had to stay face. So I think we've made a mess as a whole club, a mess of these transfer windows. And I think going into the summer, need to get these key players renewed. Need to obviously, Need to get these key players renewed. Need an effing sporting director anyways. And need to address the areas we're talking about. It's quite sad, and it's the hope that kills, because we're actually all right. The top 6 record, the unbeaten in the last 15 games in the Premier League. We're not shit, but it feels like we shoot ourselves in the foot. Like me and you speak quite a lot. I'm pretty sure I've been consistent in this. I think I only look at myself. That Liverpool are good. City have been the big bad bullies. I'm not really caring what they're doing. I just don't feel as a club we control our controllables. We're our best friends sometimes, and then are our worst enemies. And I think we didn't win. It's nothing to do with how good or bad City were last season. We shot ourselves across certain aspects in the foot. 2022-23, fair enough. We didn't expect to be there. But there was one injury to a key player. We all saw where it went. So we're not exactly learning. I know it's easy to sit here and say this, but we're messing up our opportunity. Everybody sits here and says Liverpool weren't expected to win the league, which they wasn't. Liverpool could fall off next year. These are all good things, but they're on course to make some history. Premier League trophy, and rightly or wrongly, we're stuck here in May doing a lot of explaining, my broski, man. Like, there's a lot of context in explaining. It's not wrong, but you know what they say: the winners win, and unfortunately, the losers explain. And we're so close, bro.
Fair enough. If Liverpool win the league this season, they go out well in their last dance. But if people think Arsenal should tear it up and restart, I think we got a really good core of a team. And I don't think you're.
Why should I be pissed, Kwame? Sorry, Iga. I don't know what that comment meant.
No,
but go
they're
on.
just saying because we're not winning the league, we're second in the league. We're 7 points after.
I am peed off, but like, is there any other way of shit? Like, can I be peed off without effing and blind? And again, everyone's allowed to express themselves how they want to express. I'm not really caring about that, but it's like, what do people want from me? Like, but go on and go, man. I
guess people want a rant where you're losing your head and like throwing stuff in the wall.
I've been here before. Like, where else are we gonna go from here? Like, I don't. Fair enough, man. Maybe you're right, bro.
And hey, the summer we can talk about as much as we want, but the team that's currently top of the table didn't sign anybody. So as much as we talk about the summer, we have to look at self-improvement within. And I don't think a lot of people want to do that. They constantly go back to, you should have done more in the summer. You should have done more in the summer. You also have to still look within. And unfortunately, we just didn't have, we at this moment in time, it doesn't seem like we have enough, but we're going to keep churning out results. We're going to keep trying our best and see where we are in a couple of weeks time, because they play Man City, Aston Villa, and Newcastle in the span of 3 games. If they can get,
even that is out of our control, man. That's why, admittedly, in life, whenever things are out of my control, quote unquote, I naturally look at it a bit more pessimistically. It's like we could win all our games and theoretically still not win the league, but we live in hope. Talk to me about Arteta then. Final point on Arteta. Yeah, again, I'm not here to do the ins and out thing with Arteta. I'm just assuming this is now the 3rd year in a row we do not win a Premier League trophy. I'm not saying to sack him, but how far are we going with this? Because if we fast forward a year from now, me and you having the same conversation, how far are we going with this? Because everyone can see the rebuild until he gets over the line, whether you like him, whether you dislike him, that's going to be a cloud over him. Because I can't sit here and say, like a lot of people say, he's a title winning coach, he's got potential. I actually believe a hell of a lot in Arteta as a manager. Forget Arsenal, as a manager. I only care if you do it at this club. And I disagree with, you can't say he's a title winning manager and this, that, and the third if he's never done it. Like, you can't. The man himself says it.
Yeah, I never said that. But one thing I will say is he's the only person I trust. At Arsenal right now, when it comes to the board level, the people that I trust is Arteta, and that's it.
I can hear that.
Because in that case, why would I want the person who I believe is at the forefront of this whole redevelopment of the club gone? We already got rid of Edu. Get in a new sporting director. Maybe that person.
Do you think he was harshly done by as well, Edu? In hindsight, because maybe he got frustrated as well. Said, you know what,
he always wanted Bruno G, and we from when Bruno G was in Brazil, Edu's been vouching for him to join Arsenal, and we never brought in Bruno G, and maybe that's where his final straw was like, yo, you guys are neglecting what I'm saying and then holding me accountable for Raheem Sterling. I'm out of here.
You're right on that. But yeah, back to the point about
I've never seen a PR stunt like what he did with Raheem Sterling when he signed him, showing how everybody stayed packed late and how everyone worked so hard.
Fair, with that, he said we did. The first time I've heard Edu ever give me anything close to clarity, he said, to be fair, we didn't try. This isn't something we planned to do. That just tells me, like, collectively as a club, again, the targets we tried, we weren't able to, and we weren't able to pivot to our other targets. Because there's, again, I'm not a fly on the wall, bro, but there has to have been a lot of different conversations before they went, yeah, let's sign Raheem Sterling. That clearly we didn't want to do that. And I would say slightly towards Neto as well, considering the Garcia thing. But yeah, how long does this, if assuming the next year or two or whatever, Mikel Arteta, for as much as you like him or don't like him, he finishes second, he does not win trophies. Where are you looking at it? Because without context, I do think Arteta struggles to get over the line. I do think the Europa League, the Champions League, the FA Cup since he won it, all of that, there's got to be something in it. But yeah, how long to give Donny? Or before you have some level of questions? Okay.
I will simply say the day that I look at the squad and I say this squad is complete and he's the reason why we're not winning, is a day I'll say he needs to go. At this moment in time, I don't think he's the reason why we're not winning. I think there's still other issues, and I think he's the reason why we're competitive. So the day that I think he is the problem, I will say it's time for him to go. At this moment in time, I don't view him as the problem. And if somebody does view him as the problem, I've given you many reasons throughout the stream why I don't view him as the problem. But
let me rephrase that question then. Like, obviously, I think some people will blame everyone. Some it's all Arteta, some it's still the Cronkies. I think as much as I think the ownership needs to go, they could rightly so point to me, same way me and you are having a conversation and say, listen, you can say what you want about me. We've given Arteta the keys. Like, he's been allowed to sign goalies, he's been allowed to sign centre-backs. We've ripped up deals. We've done this, we've done that. So I don't think he's completely blameless. What if they say, at the end of the day, we never put a gun to his head to take this job. He knows the way we operate. So it's like, surely Arteta's got to find a way to operate within the remits that are the Cronkies, or we're going to keep having these conversations about he's not been back, they've not done this, they've not done that. Because unpopular opinion, I think it's purely from a sporting point of view for many of them games as to why we didn't win the league last year. I can't guarantee that a next manager is going to be set up for success. I can't guarantee that Mikel Arteta, if he won the Premier League last year, we wouldn't have had the same exact summer. That's where I'm looking at, because it goes from the top downwards. But yeah, like, it's either surely Arteta's either got to find a way to make it work with the Cronkies or whatever, or decisions at some point.
We're gonna have to.
A lot to ponder there, man.
We're gonna have to wait and see. Honestly, I can't really give a clear, honest answer on what it would take for Arteta to be gone. But just know, you'll know when you know. Like right now, everyone has utmost faith in him because I see the deficiencies in the team, and I view Arteta as the problem solver, getting us solutions. Like Mikel Merino, who we haven't spoken about yet on the stream, but I do think Arteta does not get enough credit for what he does at Arsenal. Genuinely, I don't think he gets enough credit. He gets a lot of criticism for what he hasn't done, but what he has done in finding ways for Arsenal to continue to be in this title race, continue to challenge, continue to be up there as one of the better teams in the league. Even when people are talking bad about us, we finished third in the Champions League, bro. Real Madrid and Man City, who are considered far superior teams to us, who are still currently in the knockout phase facing each other a couple days ago. So it just goes to show you, like, as bad as everyone's saying Arteta is and this team is and all these issues that we have, he has them punching above everyone else's expected weight and competing to a level where you guys yourselves are saying, well, how is he doing this?
And I think there's little balance where, and that's, as an Arsenal content creator, I say this all the time on my streams. I think it's very exhausting speaking about Arsenal because Mikel Arteta can do no right or do no wrong. I think I think the truth's in the middle. I think he's done a lot well. I think there's so much things I can praise him for. I do think there's certain things he needs to be accountable for. And I do think now it's a case of you against your own. And I think as a club, as I said, it's about small margins. I do give you credit. I'm going to give you credit for the injuries, but I'm also not going to give you credit for the injuries because injuries happen. It's like a chef cutting their hands. I could argue as a whole club, we've known that this could happen. We needed to marry ourselves with depth. Before I let you get out of it, because I know you got to go and pick up the little one, yeah? Talk to me about, firstly, Mikel Merino, not just him as a footballer, but him in the striker role. Is that something you would go with? And then talk to me about Raheem Sterling, man.
Okay, first of all, Mikel Merino is definitely our striker for the next game. You don't come off the bench, score a brace, and then take him off. And the reason being is because of Raheem Sterling. The two are interlinked. Raheem Sterling is finished at the top level, bro.
It's sad. It's sad.
It's not sad. This is normal. This is
what it's sad, man. I don't like someone I say it's sad because you never like someone down on their hard luck, man. I don't like that as a human.
This is normal. Guys, Messi and Ronaldo and these guys
have been playing since 16.
They've normalized 40-year-olds playing at a level superior to some 20-year-olds. That's not normal. What Raheem Sterling is going through right now is the normal decline in somebody's career when they get to that age. And he's played football at the top level since the age of 17. He's had himself one hell of a career. He's played for Man City, won numerous trophies, played for Liverpool, played for Chelsea, played for Arsenal.
Played for England at the top level.
Majority of the top teams in the league. And he's enjoyed himself. He's had himself a hell of a career. It is sad to see, but I'm not looking at it from the perspective of sad. I'm looking at the perspective of this is the natural decline of somebody's career, and this is what happens. And you just got to say to yourself, Raheem Sterling, you've had one hell of a career. Good job. You've done amazing things throughout your time. It's now coming to the end of your road. Maybe go to the MLS, maybe go to Saudi. But even then, I think the best thing for him.
Can he even get in them Saudi? I don't think Saudi be queuing up with that current form or the MLS, man.
Even then, I would just say, you know what, end off your contract at Chelsea and just sit back and relax for the rest of your life, because you probably have investments, you probably have other things going on. You don't have to work.
I think you're bang on the money, man. And I think on one hand, yeah, I do have, it's not an excuse, but I do have to say, you know what, Sterling, you ain't been given a run of games. It's very difficult. But then I have to shoot down my own point and say, in life, if things were fair, like if everyone in our attack got the fair amount of minutes, we'd have a lot less points. We'd have a lot less goals with certain men, right? And at the same time, favorable conditions. This ain't favorable conditions for young Lewis Skelly or Ethan to be coming and doing their thing. Ethan's affecting the game for 90 minutes. And I think one thing that Moreno doesn't get praised for, let alone those 2 goals, there was a moment where I think it was the second effort Ethan hit the post. Some good hold-up play from Moreno, but that's a side note. Ethan is still thriving. Trossard wasn't amazing against Leicester, but the gaffer kept him on because I know if you're going to get that moment, you're going to make something happen. And he obviously provided with the assist. That's what Sterling doesn't have. And at the end of the day, you're one of our more experienced brothers, bro. You've got to stand up now. Like, you've got to. Like, it's not favorable, but you have to. It's not favorable for anyone, really. So we're gonna have to get on with it, man. Broski, we're just gonna have the best of luck where the Premier League and the champs is concerned. For me, it's more like blind optimism now. It's just you never know. I'm just enjoying it game by game. I personally think with the Moreno striker thing, I think there's every logic with him starting against West Ham. I think it'll be the same 11 that starts against Leicester. But I think we have to play it ear by ear, innit? There'll be games for the false 9 thing, for the Moreno thing, maybe for an academy prospect. We've got 13 games in the Premier League.
He might be our best finisher at the club, but I have one question.
I hear that.
Martin got his first debut in senior football yesterday for Manchester United. Do you think that had anything to do with our injury crisis and Mikel Merino playing, or just because they have their own injury crisis?
Because they got their own injury crisis, and he came on for about 30 seconds, and that, I think the manager just wanted to make a sub because I had to. None of them kids came on, and United weren't playing exactly well and whatnot, man. They had to. I don't think United are sending out any sort of message directly to Arsenal. Maybe they could sit there and say, you know what, yeah, you can look at Arsenal's injury crisis and think maybe you made a mistake leaving, but you've played, albeit 30 seconds. That's more than you had at Arsenal. So yeah,
What
man.
about what about Drewsbury, who went to Brighton?
He's
Do you
at
think
Blackburn playing week in, week out. And at the end of the day, yeah, like from a club perspective, I wish he was more proactive giving them deals. If you're not playing Waters and Coles Jubilee, and we didn't loan them out in January, rightly so, because you didn't give them new deals and the club isn't going to loan you out. You've got to do what you got to do to be a professional footballer, innit? Like Amari Hutchinson, whatever you did since you left Arsenal, you're playing Premier League football. Coles Jubilee maybe didn't even need to go Brighton, but you're playing week in, week out at Blackburn. Like you've got to. And that's why I go back to my old point. For me as a club, we need to be a bit proactive, because if Coles Jubilee's not going to make it here, that can make us 20, 30 million. Waters can make us 20, 30 million. Amari was sold for peanuts to Chelsea, played 2 seconds literally for Chelsea, went on loan to Ipswich. You see where he is and whatnot. Obviously, Heaven, our hands are tied. Heaven, our hands are tied. He's another one. I don't know if going to Man United was the right thing. But yeah, I think our academy could do a bit more in terms of making money for the ones that don't play or make it. So yeah, bro, I just think you know what? We've just got to ride this storm, man, and then we do the whole optimism thing in the summer, man. I know you got to go and do the school run, man, so let people know they can find you, man.
Guys, Egal Talks Football, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on TikTok, and on Twitter, EGTV Egal. But you know something? I just want to say, big up to your community, bro, because I go on a lot of channels, and the first thing I see when people disagree with me is just a bunch of hate or people going crazy, but everyone's been very nice and respectful, so I appreciate the nice words.
Come on, man. Everyone's a lot. For me, I'd speak with everyone on Arsenal, innit? You can be as positive as you want, as negative as you want, as balanced as you want, as long as you can convey your ideas or how you think, which you've done, innit? I always say I don't tell you what to think, just think. Because nobody's right, no one's wrong. Naturally, if Arsenal lose the league, there are people that didn't believe in Arteta. I told you so. If we go and win the league, people like yourself, I told you so. You can't be right all of the time. I think we've all been right and wrong across the season, man. So it is what it is. I'll do you lot one better though, man. You don't need to type in Igal's name on YouTube. Just look at the title of this vid. Give the man his subscribers. Go and watch his vids. And yeah, man, let him go do his school run. I'm back at 3 p.m, folks, man. What is it for? Either one of the two. I'll be back, man. Igal, appreciate you for doing this, my brother, man.
No worries. Have a good one.
Come on. Peace.